Welcome, Jeff Lerner here. Today we are talking about how to start an SEO consulting business. This is a really exciting topic. It's actually a lot to cover. And I say it's exciting because I've actually done it. I started an agency that, among a variety of services we provided, was SEO consulting, and it was a very lucrative, very significant part of our business, and ultimately part of why I was able to sell that business and do really well. So I really love this topic because I have personally received the benefit of this exact subject. But like I said, there's a lot to cover. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you 10 steps to actually start an SEO consulting business. These are the 10 things that you need to do. And then, kind of as a bonus, I'm going to give you a hack, something that you can do to actually land big SEO retainer clients once you're kind of established and you know what you're doing. One of the hardest things about doing any kind of a local marketing agency is attracting really good clients, and I love all small business owners. I have total respect for business owners and what it takes to run a business. But the reality is they're not all created equal when it comes to being your clients. The average small business owner actually isn't that great of a client for a local marketing agency because usually they're strapped on their budget. They don't really have enough money to market in an effective way. And they're trying to use marketing to solve problems that are usually bigger than what marketing can solve. Marketing is about growing a business. It's not about fixing a business. You have a lot of smaller businesses that a lot of times try to spend money on marketing to fix their business, and that's not really what marketing is designed to do. One of the keys to having not only a profitable agency or consulting practice of any sort with business, but also something that's enjoyable and actually fun to do, is to be able to attract bigger clients that can pay you larger retainers. So after we talk about the 10 steps for starting your SEO consulting business, I'm going to give you a great hack that you can use to attract the bigger, better paying clients. Okay, so without further ado, let's dive in. As a brief introduction, if this is your first time on my channel is all about sales, marketing, business, entrepreneurship, investing, and ultimately how to use those things to have a great life in the new information economy that we live in. The world has completely changed in the last 20 years, and unfortunately, I think education has kind of lagged behind. So I have made it my duty and my calling to educate the world about all the ways that the world has changed and all the opportunities out there. I have personally benefited from the new economy and the information economy so much in my life, and over the last decade plus, been able to completely turn my life around. I used to be a musician, used to be poor, used to struggle, used to be kind of a loser. This modern world we live in, technology, the internet, marketing, sales, just what you can do now without a job is so powerful. It's allowed me to completely change everything, and so this channel is my opportunity to kind of pay that back and pay that forward. If you'd like to learn more, I will go ahead and invite you to subscribe to this channel. Like I said, sales, marketing, investing, entrepreneurship, business, finance, and ultimately how to use those things to have a better life. That's the subject matter of the channel. If you're into that sort of thing, you might enjoy subscribing. So subscribe, click the little bell, get notified when new videos come out. And that said, I appreciate it if you do that. And then that said, let's talk about how to start an SEO consulting business. The first thing you have to do if you're going to start an SEO consulting business is, drum roll, learn to do SEO. Not a big surprise there. If you're gonna sell SEO services, you have to actually know how to do SEO. And this is not like a small thing. This is not some insignificant, trivial thing that you're gonna do in a few weeks. SEO is hard. SEO is, I shouldn't say it's hard. It's robust. It's a big subject. It's like, I don't know, it's like almost like learning to be an engineer, learning to be a web designer. Like there's a fair amount that you're gonna have to learn. It's not that hard, but it is not something that you're just gonna absorb in a week or two of study. And that's why it can be so powerful. It's like, it's one of these things, and there's a number of these things in the new economy that are like, it's like magical powers. And to most people, especially to people that own businesses, they're like, well, I want that. I want to be on the first page of Google. I want to have more customers than I know what to do with coming to me that I'm not having to spend money on to attract with paid advertising. I want, but I don't know how to do it. It's like, oh, but whoever does know how to do it, they're like a wizard. And I'll pay for magical powers, right? So when you know how to do these certain things in the new economy, you have magical powers, and people will pay a lot for magical powers. That's why people pay doctors a lot. People pay a lot for things that can change their quality of life with knowledge or systems or strategies that they don't know how to do themselves. So SEO is one of those things, but you're not going to get it overnight. So you have to commit yourself to learning how to do SEO. So there's a few things that go into that. First of all, you're going to have to learn how to research keywords. There's some basic tools for this. You're going to have to learn how to analyze keyword trends, keyword traffic, keyword relevance, keyword search volume, all the things related to keywords. And it's beyond the scope of this video to actually teach you SEO. There's plenty of videos that do that. And there's some great websites that do that. Websites like SEO Moz, SEMrush has some great training. Honestly, there's great free trainings right here on YouTube. But you're going to have to learn to research and understand keywords in terms of a lot of the text on the site, writing articles for the sites. But the other thing that you really have to understand, and a lot of people think of SEO and they just think of like stuff that they do to the website, but there's a lot of data processing, a lot of like reporting and analysis and what they call analytics that go into actually measuring the effects of SEO. You can't improve what you can't measure. And so one of the things you're really going to have to understand is Google Analytics. Google Analytics is kind of I would say I don't know if it's the best analytics platform, but in terms of what most people use, it's certainly the most widespread. I would say it's the industry standard analytics platform. And that's what's going to tell you essentially what is working when you're doing SEO. They call it click attribution. Like, where are the clicks coming from? Who's getting to the website? What are they clicking on? Why are they clicking on it? What is it that you've done that's gotten them to that point? How long are they spending on the site? How well optimized is the site? How fast is the site loading? All this stuff that goes into it. And you're going to have to understand Google Analytics. And there are also some great videos on YouTube that are detailed walkthroughs. And Google has produced some really, not surprising because they're Google, they're pretty thorough. They've produced some really, really thorough tutorials on Google Analytics, actually certifications, courses you can take to demonstrate or to acquire the knowledge and then demonstrate the knowledge and actually get certified in Google Analytics. You're definitely going to have to do that. When it comes to the practice of SEO, there actually are two main types of SEO that we talk about. We talk about on-page SEO and we talk about, wait for it, off-page SEO, right? And not surprisingly, on-page SEO is stuff that you actually do on the web page to optimize. And SEO, by the way, probably should have said this in the beginning, search engine optimization. So to optimize the actual content of the web page so that it indexes properly in the search engines. And index just means when the search engines scan a website or they scan a web page, that they're able to properly assimilate and parse all the content on the page, not only just the text and the images that you see, but all of the code behind the scenes that you don't necessarily see, but the software crawlers actually read all the code. And that they're able to properly parse all that and index it. And based on how it indexes is how it's going to rank. You'll hear this term SERP, S-E-R-P, search engine results pages. The SERPs, the goal is to set up the pages so that they index well, so that they rank well in the SERPs, the search engine results pages. And like I said, the first place to start with that is on-page SEO. So on-page SEO means you have to understand some basic concepts. Again, we're not going to go in depth on these concepts. I'm just going to kind of list them off, and we can even actually probably put them in the description below this video, and you'll have to go research these. But these are the things that you're going to have to understand if you're going to be effective at SEO. First of all is metadata. Metadata is basically some information that you kind of embed in a portion of the website that you don't actually see, a portion of the web page that you don't actually see on the screen, but it's called the header. And it's got all this kind of hidden code, kind of like, you know, if you take a picture on the internet, or if you have a picture and you double tap the picture, like, or you right click the picture on your computer, and you can see some data, like when the picture was taken, maybe where the picture was taken, maybe there's a little GPS coordinates of where the picture was taken. That's actually called metadata. That's metadata that's embedded in the picture. Well, similarly, web pages have metadata. It's data that you don't see, but it's descriptive data. Photos have metadata, music has metadata, and web pages have metadata. And you have to learn how to manipulate the metadata to tell the search engines basically what the page is about. The next thing that you have to learn about is image naming. This is a big thing that, and it's important because one of the ways you get SEO business is you go tell people what's wrong with their websites. And very often one of the main things that's wrong with their websites is they don't have good names for their images. As you know, probably, you can change file names, and an image is just a file, right? You can change the name of a file. So a lot of times if somebody takes an image with a camera, it'll just give it a title like image 492 or img 492 JPG, JPEG or something. If you just put that on a website, IMG 492 doesn't tell Google or the search engine, whether it's Google or Bing or Yahoo or it doesn't matter, it doesn't tell it anything about the image and what it's relevant to. So if you go in and you rename the image to be pretty trees or dark green forest.jpg, that tells the search engine something about the image. So a lot of times you'll go through and rename all the images. That's a really important aspect of SEO. And then you have title tags, which are, most of us know we land on a website, there's liable to be like a big headline at the top of the website. That's actually called like your H1 title tag. And there's H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, H6. It goes through 6. And actually structuring those tags, those title tags, in a way that they actually tell you something about the content on the page. That's really important. There's another type of tag called an alt tag that's you don't see. Have you ever noticed how you hover over like an image or you hover over certain elements on a web page and they call it a tooltip, like a little box pops up that'll tell you like some word that describes it. And they use this for like if somebody's blind, they can set the disability features on their computer to actually read them information about the website. That's what that's doing, is it's reading the alt tags. And that's a really valuable tool for SEO. Another element is page security. So if you've noticed how sometimes you load up a page and it's got a little lock icon in the URL bar, that or that it'll have what's called SSL encryption, and you'll notice that the domain will say HTTPS. There's a little S instead of just HTTP. That's encrypted. That's secure. The search engines reward secure pages. It's not, again, there's whole YouTube videos that tell you how to install SSL certificates, but it's definitely something you want to do on your websites now. Wasn't such a big deal a few years ago. Huge deal now to make sure that the entire website is secure. Also, the URL structure. URL stands for Uniform Resource Locator, but it's basically like the address. So if you go to like www.mywebsite.com/Jeff/ talking about SEO, that would be the URL, right? The long address. Well, so the structure of the URL is actually important. Think of it as like, the book name and then the chapter name and then the section name, right? If you have like the directories and subdirectories, like it has to be organized. It has to be intelligent. If you just have haphazard naming, the search engines get confused. They don't understand the structure of your website. So having an intelligent URL structure, having what they call an internal linking structure. So obviously if you've been on a website, you've probably been reading the content and maybe there's a link that's like, let's say it's a website about accounting and it's like, here's how to do your taxes as a small business. And then down at the bottom, it's like, click here to read our top 4 recommended software for doing your taxes. And you click there and it takes you to another page on the website that's like QuickBooks and Peachtree and different softwares. Well, that's an internal link. It's a link from one page of the site to another page of the site with some sort of text that's relevant to the new page, and creating this internal linking structure that moves you all around the site. The software that crawls the websites actually follows all those links. So you're actually building your website like almost like a 3-dimensional, it's almost like a ball of yarn where everything connects, and the search engines, they crawl, the term is crawling, they crawl all of that. And it helps them understand the structure of your website. The next category is performance. There's a lot to cover, right? Performance basically means how fast do the pages load? Like you have to sit there and listen to Jeopardy music while the page loads, or does it load really fast? Basically, any load times longer than 3 seconds now, you're getting, on a conventional internet connection, you're getting penalized. And also mobile optimization. Does the page, you've seen sometimes how there's websites that look really weird on mobile devices, like they don't reformat for the different screen size and the different screen shape. You'll get penalized for that. So mobile optimization and load time, that's page performance. That's a big on-page SEO trait. And then finally, and we talked about this earlier, the keywords themselves, the actual words in the text on the page. If there's a certain keyword that you're trying to rank for, because when people search on the search engine, they're actually searching for specific keywords, then you want that keyword to be in the text on the page. And ideally, you want it to be in the metadata. You want it to be in the title tags, and that's why we talked about those. But you want it to be in the body text as well, but not so much so that it seems like, they call it keyword stuffing, that you just stuffed the keyword in a zillion times and made it so that it doesn't actually read well. It doesn't seem like good writing. There's kind of an optimal ratio. They say typically it's between 1 and 2%, and depending on when you read it and what Google's latest update is, that number kind of changes, but generally 1 to 2% keyword density. And then finally, you just want the site to be well written. Like if you have a bunch of grammar errors, if you have a bunch of typos and syntax errors and just bad writing in general, that'll show up two ways. One, people will not spend much time on the site. They'll leave if it's poorly written. And also, Google is actually smart enough to be able to determine if a site is well written or not. So those are the main on-page SEO factors. Again, a lot to learn. And then you have off-page SEO, which basically comes down primarily to backlinks. How many other websites out there are actually linking to and referencing the main website or the main web page that you're trying to rank. And that's a networking thing, honestly. For most of the backlinks, you're going to need to reach out to people and say, hey, I got this article. Would you like to link to my article? Or, if it's a really great article, maybe people will link to it naturally. But a lot of times there's some work to do for backlinking. The second aspect of off-page SEO is domain authority. How old is the domain? And there's some other factors too, but the main one is how old is the domain. So actually you can buy aged domains. There's a whole industry say, hey, this domain was registered 15 years ago. So it has high domain authority, which helps contribute. It's kind of like an upward push in the entire tide that lifts the entire site, all the boats of the site, so to speak. If you have an aged domain authority. And then finally, and this has become a lot more relevant in the last couple of years, is social promotion and engagement. So if you can actually create social engagement of people either talking about or commenting about and ultimately linking back to the content on the site, Google tends to reward traffic that comes from social networks to a website, because they assume that if people are coming from social networks to a website, then it must be something people are talking about. And so that's really valuable from Google's point of view. So like I said, a lot to cover. That was kind of a very quick run through of everything that goes into search engine optimization. And I said the first thing you need to do is you need to learn to do it. The next thing you need to do is you need to learn to provide it. And that's different from doing it. It's one thing to say, I know how to rank a web page. It's another thing to say, I know how to service a client. I know how to send them reports. I know how to communicate with them properly. I know how to anticipate their needs and their concerns. I know how to bill them. It's a completely different job, right? To service a client than to like sit there and do the technical work on the computer. So I recommend honestly that you go get a job. If you want to have an SEO consulting practice, I would say first go work for an agency and do SEO for clients before you try to do it for yourself. Go work at an agency, and so you can learn how they take care of their customers. Then you can take those processes and translate it over to owning your own agency. They also have some conferences that you can go to. So I mentioned a platform earlier called SEO Moz. They have a conference called MozCon. There's also one in Portland that's called SEMPDX. I actually don't know what the DX stands for, but it's Search Engine Marketing Portland DX, something. Anyway, SEMPDX is another conference you can attend. There's SEO conferences all over the world, but I recommend going there, networking, getting to know other people that do this as a service, and even, you might even find some clients there eventually. And then sooner rather than later, start building your own websites and start optimizing your own websites. At the end of the day, SEO is a very quantifiable thing. Like I have a buddy owns a big SEO agency up in New York, and at one point he had a client that was like the number 1 or 2 ranking commercial real estate company in Chicago. So if you're in Chicago and you search commercial real estate, his client came up number 1 or 2. That's super competitive, super valuable. I mean, his client's doing millions and millions of dollars a year just because of that rank. And he doesn't have to sell. He just walks into a business and says, yo, I'm the guy that ranked this company number 2 on commercial real estate in Chicago. If I can do that, then your, dog walking business in Poughkeepsie, New York, or your lawn care business in Tallahassee, Florida, whatever, I can probably rank you too, because I took one of the most valuable and competitive keywords in one of the, the third biggest city in the United States, and I ranked it number 1 or 2. Like, results trump everything. So start now. Results take time. It's on your side if you start now and give it time. As SEO. So pick a few things that you're actually going to get started on and start building your own case study websites. And then also, and this is really, really important, really valuable, I recommend start creating content about SEO. Start teaching people how SEO works. It'll force you to up your game. It'll force you to not only get better at understanding it, it'll force you to get better at explaining it and make you more effective when you actually go out to sell it. and market yourself as a service provider, and it'll establish you as having authority. Honestly, it's one of the reasons I do my YouTube channel, is when you're teaching, people just kind of assume you probably even know more than you do. It establishes you with some authority in the market, super valuable. And then once you've learned how to do SEO, then you've learned how to provide SEO, now it's time to actually learn how to run a business. So you're gonna wanna do like basic stuff like bookkeeping, finance, learn how to properly set up your entity. Basically, I recommend, honestly, I like to just do research. I'm not gonna say go take classes, and you can learn so much from YouTube videos as long as you use credible sources, and you develop a nose for that. But basically learn how to start a business. And then I very much recommend that you actually write up a business plan. So what's your marketing plan? What's your financial plan? What's your differentiation? What makes you different from just some other provider? Are you going to need capital? What are your requirements? Are you going to need office space? Are you going to need staff? Like, think it through. What equipment are you going to need? Obviously, you're probably going to need a computer. Maybe if you've been working at a job at an agency, maybe they provided you a computer and now you're going to have to go buy your own. Like, think all that through and actually map out at least a 2-year business plan. Some people say, oh, you should always do a 5-year business plan. I think that's kind of hard to do in the world we live in a lot of times, but at least like a 2-year business plan to say, this is what I need to do. And this is where the business is going to go. And then actually go out and create your brand, get business cards, a website. I mean, kind of goes without saying, get a website, register the business properly, get a business license, do whatever you got to do, right? To properly set up your business. And then so we had to learn to do SEO. Then we had to learn to provide SEO as a service. Then we had to learn the basics of setting up a business. Now it's time to actually go out and sell your services, drive revenue for the business. And that is about creating your marketing materials. Obviously, you need to have a website. And here's the deal. If you want to be a successful SEO person, there's probably nothing better to do than to rank your own website in your own market on the keyword SEO. So if you live in Charlotte, North Carolina, you probably want to come up on the first page when somebody searches Charlotte, North Carolina SEO. Or if they just search SEO, a lot of times, you may not know this, but the browser knows where people are. So they don't have to type in Charlotte, North Carolina. They can just type in SEO. And if they're in Charlotte, North Carolina, Google is going to naturally pull from local providers. Now you might go, well, that's going to be hard because all the other companies that are trying to rank on that keyword, they're SEO companies. They're going to be good at it. Well, yeah, you picked a hard thing, but you picked a cool thing. You picked a thing where you can make multiple 6 figures and you can do it from anywhere in the world. You can travel around and you can work on your own hours, and all you have to do is generate mostly automated reports and occasionally call your clients. You picked a thing with a lot of lifestyle perks and really good money. So it stands to reason it's probably going to be hard. That's why you need to start now. If you want to be an SEO consultant, start now and maybe plan to be actually entering the business in a year or 2 years or 3 years. But start now on ranking that website in your local market. And then the other thing you need to put together is actually a list of the services you're going to provide. One of the craziest things I see when people like actually go out to start one of these businesses and they finally actually get a client. Like, congratulations, you're successful. Somebody wants to do business with you. And they go, okay, tell me your prices. And they're like, oh, okay, I'll send you an email with that information. And they go home and they're like, oh, I got a client. I got to like actually put a menu together. Imagine being a restaurant and bringing people in and being like, well, are you hungry? Are you going to eat here? Okay, cool. Let me go back and talk to the chef and see what we can offer and see what the prices are going to be. Like, that wouldn't make any sense. You put your menu together before you even open. But yet a lot of people start agencies and it's like they don't know what people are willing to pay, and they're kind of scared to ask too much. And honestly, this is one of the biggest pieces of advice that I would give anybody starting an agency is do not be afraid to price yourself high. In fact, be more afraid of pricing yourself low. It is better to not land an underpaying client than it is to land an underpaying client, because nothing will make your business more miserable and less enjoyable and defeat the whole purpose and make you want to go running back to your day job than to have a client who has unreasonable expectations, who's not paying you enough for your time or not paying you enough for your service or for the value you're giving. And in my experience, very often it's the lowest paying clients that create the biggest headaches. Price your services to attract the type of client that you ultimately want to work with. A lot of people are scared on day one. Listen, I've been in this business a long time. I ran an agency for 6 years. We did over $25 million in sales in 6 years. We made the Inc. 5000 2 times. We sold thousands of businesses, services. And I would teach my sales guys, I would say, you know more about this stuff than they do. They need these services. It's not like they can just go back to advertising in the yellow pages. They need these services. And since they don't understand them, they're not going to get you based on going, oh, well, you said something, but from what I've heard, the latest Google Panda update means that what you just said isn't true. They don't know. They're not going to call you if you make a technical error when you're speaking to them. What they're going to call you on is if you don't seem confident. What they're going to call you on is if you don't convey trust and authority. This is why I said you should teach SEO on the internet. If you're going to provide SEO services, develop the authority that comes from teaching SEO and creating content about SEO. Because if businesses don't believe in you, they don't have the trust in you, if you don't convey confidence, then they're not going to want to do business with you, because it's not going to be because they don't think you're good at it. I mean, because they don't know. They don't know how to. It's kind of like talking to a doctor, right? Like we walk in, they got the lab coat, they got the clipboard, they got the stethoscope, they got the degree on the walls. And as long as they got a nice office, we just kind of assume that they know what they're doing because we don't actually know. That's how SEO is. So just make sure that you price yourself to actually appeal. Here's the thing. The companies you want to do these services for, like the good ones, the ones that have bigger budgets, they actually won't pay for a lower cost provider. Their budget, their mandate is to find the best and to pay what it takes to hire the best. So if you come in too low, you're actually repelling the type of client that you ultimately would want. So price yourself to your ideal client and don't sell yourself short, or I promise you will set yourself up to be miserable and you'll have clients that you ultimately want to fire. To recap, we learned to do SEO. We talked about on-page SEO. We talked about off-page SEO. We learned to provide SEO as a service. We learned the basics of running a business. We created our marketing materials, our website, and our price list. And now it's time to actually make sure that when we get clients, we can fulfill them. Now, we talked earlier about learning to provide SEO as a service and learning how to deal with the clients. What I'm talking about now is actually creating automated processes to basically report on the results of the SEO work. This is one of the biggest things that I learned in running an agency, is that just a simple email once a month summarizing the activities that have gone on and the results that they've generated is the difference between having a client calling you after 2 months going, what the heck, what am I spending money on? What are you doing? What have you done for me lately? Versus somebody who never calls you and they're happy and they stick with you for years. Because when you send them a report that has lines and bars and graphs and pie charts and, I'm kidding, it doesn't have all those things, but basically you send them a report with real data that reflects some nominal amount of progress. The thing is, business owners have largely been conditioned that they have to do these things. And in a way, they're looking for the provider that gives them the highest degree of confidence and seems to be the most responsible, because they don't necessarily have anything to compare it to. They don't know, but they just know that they can't stop. But if you're not on top of it in terms of communication and reporting, then they're going to assume that they're just wasting their money. It's kind of a crazy phenomenon. Like, we used to send businesses reports, and a lot of businesses, SEO is slow a lot of times. And so we'd have businesses where the report 6 months in a row, it would show work being done, but it wouldn't actually show really any progress. For the most part, businesses were happy. Sometimes they call after 3 months and go, hey, I checked the report. By the way, most of the time they don't check. They don't even really dig into the reports. They check that you saw them. They might double click to open the attachment and read the first half of the first page, and then I get busy and do other things, right? It's very rare that you have clients that really pour through the whole report and really try to digest the information, because the reason they hired you to do it is because a lot of business owners, they hate this stuff. They don't want to learn how to do it. They don't even want to learn how to read a report about it. But you got to get in the habit of having a good process for not only doing the work, but for reporting the doing of the work on a regular basis. So I'm talking about developing fulfillment processes. And then you have to develop what I call audit processes. So the audit process is basically being able to go to a business's website and sort of analyze the website. And there's, again, it's beyond what we're going to teach in this video of how to do this, but you just need to make a note that you have to do this. And there's other YouTube videos that'll teach you how to do it. But you need to be able to go to a website, and analyze the website. And I gave you all the factors earlier, the metadata and the page rank and the naming and the alt tags and the title tags and the keyword density and the load time and the mobile optimization. There's all these factors you can rank websites on, right? And you have to go audit and create reports to say, here's all the stuff that's wrong with so-and-so's website, right? Because that's actually how you go out and get business. So you develop an audit process, and I would develop a process and a habit. And I would say, hey, every day I'm going to audit so many websites, and I'm going to identify websites that have certain problems, and then I'm going to actually go out, and this ties in with the hack I'm going to give you here in a little bit. I'm actually going to go out and use these audits to attract new business and say, hey, Mr. Business Owner, you've got a problem with your website. Here's the issues. It's not optimized. I don't know if you have a provider or not, but if you do, they're not doing things nearly as well as they could because of this, and this. Now, based on that, imagine if you were getting 5 extra calls a day or 400 extra clicks a month or whatever, and how much revenue would that translate into? And basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to make it seem like it's more expensive not to hire you than to hire you because of all the clicks and all the calls and all the revenue that they're losing by not properly optimizing their site based on the audit that you do. So that's the next step after you develop the fulfillment processes and the reporting processes, is to develop audit processes. Then, important step, I learned this the hard way because I didn't do it and it cost me a lot of money. You want to identify freelancers or maybe even another agency in your market, basically people that can provide other services that you don't want to provide yourself. So like for me, my agency, we did local business SEO, websites. At the time we were doing it, there was a lot of mobile optimization stuff. You had to kind of go back and we would take websites, even if we didn't build the website, we would rehash the website to optimize it for mobile. We had technology to help businesses gather reviews. And that was it. That was like our main business right there. And we didn't do design. We didn't do copywriting. There were creative services. We weren't a full service agency. We didn't like concept their advertising campaigns. And so I learned the hard way that a lot of times you attract businesses to your agency for one particular service. And then if they decide they like you, they end up wanting to do other things with you too. And if you don't provide those services, you're stuck and you go, oh yeah, sorry, no, we don't do that. And they go find someone else to do it. And what can end up happening is they find somebody else to do it. And that person goes, well, who does your SEO? And they go, oh, I've got this other guy, Jeff or Bill or Phyllis or whatever. And they go, oh, well, we can do that. And, since we're doing your website and since we're doing your radio jingle and since we're doing your print magazine, yeah, why don't you just let us do your SEO too? You can end up losing the business because you passed it off to somebody to do work that you didn't do or didn't want to do, and then they end up taking your work, right? So what I recommend you do is go in the market and establish pre-existing relationships, referral relationships, so that when people ask you for services that you don't want to provide or that you don't provide or you can't provide, you can refer them to someone. You've already worked out a deal where you say, hey, I'll pass it over. Oh, you got to call my, our sister agency or call my friend or call my, whatever, so-and-so. And they know, first of all, that they can't poach your business. They can't get a referral from you and then try to steal your business. And secondly, maybe even there's a referral agreement where you say, hey, we do SEO, but we don't build websites. So if, you call up a web design firm and say, hey, if we send you web design clients, can we get 10% referral fee or whatever? And most of the time they'll say yes. So identify either freelancers or other agencies that can provide services that you don't provide so that you not only protect your business when you don't provide a service, but also you can even generate additional revenue. The last thing that you have to do if you want to start an SEO consulting business, you have to get in a badass mindset and you have to go crush it in this world and you have to go work your butt off because it's hard. It's supposed to be hard. When you talk about skills that you can develop and services that you can provide that can allow you to generate hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars and have this laptop lifestyle that we talk about where you can travel anywhere, you can work from anywhere. And let me be clear, if you're a good SEO guy, like I told you about my friend, he lives in New York, great SEO guy. I have another friend lives down in Texas, great SEO guy. I wasn't great at SEO. I ran an agency and we did SEO. I'll tell you this about my agency. I had a baby, 2016, summer 2016, I had a baby. And I said, you know what? I'm going to be home with my baby every single day for its first year of life. I didn't go into the office for a year. And then actually after a year, I was like, I kind of like this. I hardly went into the office for the second year. That's the quality of life. And then ultimately we sold the agency. But I'm talking my friend who does SEO up in New York. He runs triathlons. He's a competitive skier. As long as he does the SEO work, as long as the sites are ranking and optimized, his clients will continue to pay him thousands of dollars per month, and he doesn't have to be sitting in his computer all the time. This is one of those game-changing, life-altering skills that you can learn. So yeah, it's probably going to be kind of hard because everybody wants that type of life, right? So just freaking strap yourself in and get ready to hustle and be awesome. You might be like, well, why I didn't know I was signing up for motivational speech. I thought I was just learning the skills of setting up an agency. This is a skill. This is a skill. To show up every day ready to win is a skill, and you have to do it. Whether you're frankly doing an SEO consulting agency or anything else that can be awesome, you got to approach it this way. And I would be remiss if I didn't tell you that. So, okay, now that's the list of things. I think there were 10 of them that you need to do to start an SEO consulting agency. Now let's talk about this hack that I was telling you about that'll help you go not only find clients for your agency, but actually get the best clients that have the most money to spend and that are the easiest to please. First thing you want to do is you want to use a tool. I recommend SEMrush for this. There's a number of tools you can use. And actually figure out what various companies, and you probably start in your local market so that you can go meet with businesses locally. But once you kind of establish your presence, and frankly, if you have a really good looking website, it actually doesn't matter if they're in your market or not. But you need to find companies that are spending money on search engine marketing. Now, there's SEO, which is actually, you don't know how much they're spending on SEO, but there's SEM, search engine marketing, or PPC, pay-per-click marketing, where they're actually bidding on keywords. And these tools do a great job of giving you a rough estimate of how much money these businesses are spending. So use SEMrush to go find businesses that are spending money on keyword advertising. And then you know, hey, these are businesses that get business from the search engines, they value business from the search engines, and they have budgets to spend money for more business from the search engines. Now, you'll run SEMrush, you'll run these tools, and you'll find businesses that are spending $100,000 a month, $500,000 a month, $1 million a month. There's companies that spend millions of dollars. Like go run your SEMrush tools on like Geico or Progressive Insurance and see how much money they're spending on pay-per-click advertising. It's millions of dollars a month. You don't want to go after those companies. Those companies have either giant agencies that provide all manner of services for them that have been doing it for years, probably run by guys that used to work at Google, or they have in-house teams that do these things. Your sweet spot, my experience tells me that the sweet spot is you want to find businesses that spend between $20,000 and $100,000 a month. And it can go as low as 10. I prefer 20, but maybe when you're getting started, if somebody's spending $15,000 a month or $12,000 a month, it's worth calling. We'll call it 10, but between 10 or 20 and up to $100,000 a month in search engine marketing, pay-per-click advertising spend, those are the businesses that you want to go after because they're going to easily be able to carve out a couple $1,000s a month, maybe $5,000 a month, maybe $10,000 a month even if they're up in like the 50K plus to spend on search engine optimization, but they're not so big that they're like unapproachable or untouchable or their buying cycle takes a year and you're going to spend all this time. Okay? So first of all, identify companies that you want to go after. Then go do that audit that we talked about. Use your audit process to analyze their website or analyze their company blog or analyze their landing page that they're driving traffic to with the search ads or analyze their assets and find those companies that have bad optimization or that have easy to identify and easy to explain problems with their search engine optimization and write up your little audit report and then send it. Don't send it. Number one thing, do not send it to the chief marketing officer or to the digital marketing, the VP of digital marketing or anybody whose butt is going to be on the line for those problems. You don't want to send them a report saying, hey, here's all the ways that you're not doing your job well. Like that guy's not going to take that report and go,
oh man, we really have some problems with our website. I better go up the chain to my CEO and get permission to spend money to fix this.
Because he's going to go, wait, this is my job. This happened on my watch. Okay, and he's going to call down to his guy and be like, yo, we got to fix all this stuff. And don't let anybody know, right? We don't want to be in trouble for not doing our job. So he's the last guy, he or she, the CMO, the VP of digital marketing, anybody in the marketing department, those are the last people you want to send this report to. I wouldn't even really send it to the CEO. I mean, it depends how big the company is. I would send it to the board. If you can figure out who the board members are, if you can figure out who the owner is, and ideally the investors. If you can figure out who put the money into the company, send those guys the report. By the way, I use male pronouns. I say those guys. It's too difficult to say those guys and girls, those gender neutral humans. Like just cut me some slack here. All right. I know that there are super successful, powerful women in this world, and I'm not trying to exclude them from my conversation. But whoever the people in charge are, the people that put the money in, those are the people you want to send these reports to, because trust me, those people care. And then they're going to come down and they're going to say, hey, we need to fix this. And ideally, and I've seen this happen in lots and lots of cases, they're going to go, this guy found these problems. This guy clearly is smarter than you at this particular thing. So we're going to pay him or her to fix the problem. And you can end up getting the business. It's almost like you're the whistleblower, right? But you sound the alarm, you get the business, they hire you to fix it, because if the CMO is good or better than you, why didn't they catch it? And that's the investor's mindset. Investors are cool because all they care about is results. And if you're the one that found the problem, there's a good chance they'll hire you to fix the problem. And then something you can do is you can actually go to, there's a site called CrunchBase that you can actually look up and you can see what companies recently received venture capital funding. So whenever they do a round of VC, there's always money allocated for the marketing plan. So if you find a company that just got $10 million in venture capital funding and they're spending $75,000 a month on pay-per-click advertising, search engine marketing, and you find that they have a problem with optimization on their website, they've literally got money set aside to spend on digital marketing. They don't have to go ask somebody to free money up in the budget. They just got $10 million sitting in the bank and it's already earmarked to grow their business online. So those are great businesses that you can tap into. Another thing you can do is you can actually go to venture capital company websites and look at their portfolio companies. You can see all the companies that they funded and then go audit their websites and try to find problems and reach out to those companies as well. And you already know who the investors are. You go right to the VC company. So Crunchbase and the individual VC companies looking at their portfolio pages, these are like great ways to find companies in that. And they're in a growth phase. They just got venture money. They're trying to grow, which means they want to fix problems and they want to scale. Once the problems are fixed, they want to scale the solutions. So those are great clients that you can go after, and that's kind of my hack for how you can land clients in that sort of $10,000 a month range. Which honestly, you don't have to have too many of them, and you're free. You have a golden life. You land 3 of those clients, 30 grand a month. Yeah, you're going to have some expenses to provide SEO. My experience, though, is SEO is at least a 50% margin business. So if you have 3 clients paying you 10 grand a month, you have 15 grand a month clear, $180,000 a year for a job that you can do from anywhere. You're golden. The final thing I should say with that hack is if you're going to do that approach, or really any of these approaches, you have to be prepared. People are going to look at your website. So make sure that your website looks awesome. It should kind of go without saying, is like, look awesome. In this world that we live in, it's not right, it just is. People make quick snap judgments and they take very little information. It's very surface level information that they use to make those judgments, because the world is so crowded and the world is so busy. We just don't have time to really do our research, to investigate things. So that when they say you never get a second chance to make a first impression, that has never been truer and has never been more important than the world we live in right now. And for a lot of these types of deals, your website is going to be your first impression. You need to have a baller website. You need to look probably bigger and better than you are. And that's not cheating. That's not manipulating. That's just being a marketer. Make yourself look good so that when you do email the investor and they do go look you up online, you look the part of somebody that they can, because everybody's always trying to cover their butt, right? They don't want to hire somebody that doesn't look good, because then if you do a bad job, they have to go defend it to someone else why they hired you. But if your website looks amazing and you look the part, then they can say to the other guy, oh, well, this is why I hired this guy, because look at his site. He looks so good, right? He's done, this kind of work, and he ranked this website, and his website comes up first when I search for SEO, and right? That is all I have to share with you about building an SEO consulting agency. Super lucrative, super powerful, super profitable opportunity to create a space for yourself in the new information economy that gives you what I am super passionate about, which is ways to create a life that don't also consume your life. You can make a lot of money doing asphalt. You can lay asphalt. You can put streets on the ground. And honestly, I know people that are involved in like highway projects, and you make good money doing that. But you're also out sweating for 14 hours a day, and you go home and you're so tired, it's like hard to play with your kids. Like that. So you make a life, but it also consumes your life. I'm talking about ways to make a life that don't consume your life. And I think SEO consulting is one of those things if you do the hard work to get great at it. That's one of the things that I refuse to apologize for, and that I feel like people are very often trying to get me to apologize for, is that I talk about all this stuff, but there's always this underlying assumption that you have to be great at things. If you want to have a great life, you have to be great at stuff. It's not okay to just say, well, I want to have an amazing life. I want to have a 1% life, but I want to be a 50% guy. I want to be right in the middle. I want to just be average. No, get great at this. Have a great life. Again, if you want to learn about more things related to having an awesome life and how to pay for it and how to leverage technology and information and the internet and just all the opportunity that's out there, I'll invite you to subscribe to my channel again, and make sure you click the little bell so you get notified when new videos come out, and I will keep bringing you the content. Thanks for your time. I'll see you on the next one.